It's time for the Take a Seat podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Howell. Please take a seat. Good morning, everyone. This is TakeASeat.tv, the show where we learn from other entrepreneurs. And this morning, I have a exciting young lady called Magriet Groenewald who's joining us. She's a social media guru. She became well known over the last year, and I want to hear her story. I'm sure you're interested as well. So welcome, Magriet. Good to have you on our show.
Good morning, Kevin. Lovely to be here. Thanks so much. And hi to all the listeners.
Magriet, so you were saying in the pre-show interview that you can see the sea. Now, all of us are not that privileged this morning, so that's just a completely different lifestyle. How is it to live down in the Cape?
You know what? It is absolutely amazing. But I have to tell you, within the first year, I mean, we are here 1 year now, you just feel so overwhelmed with everything you can do. Last week, we went up Table Mountain. And the amazing thing is I can see the sea from my office. So whenever I have got a difficult day and I just look up, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Loving it.
How do you focus on working if you see the sea all day long? I just wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely amazing. We love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Magriet, tell us about yourself. If you have to describe yourself in 3 words for people that don't know you, what would be those 3 words?
Wow. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I can do it in 3 words, but you know what? I am just
1 word.
I think I succeed one failure at a time.
Okay. All right. So you learn from failures. That was going to be one of my questions. How you learn your lessons.
That's okay. Absolutely. I move forward 1 step and 2 back. 1 forward, okay. 2 back. So yeah, that's okay. More or less. Yeah.
All right. Magriet, tell us about yourself. Where were you born? Where do you come from? How did you end up in Cape Town? How was your life the last 5 years?
So I am actually from the Eastern Free State, and that is a beautiful, beautiful part of the country. My parents are farmers there in the Eastern Free State, and I went to school in Vicksburg. So my childhood was amazing. I'm one of 6 children, and
wow.
Yeah, then I ended up in Bloemfontein, which is about 2 hours away from the farm. And that is where I met my hubby and I worked there. I studied BCom marketing and I did my honors degrees. And then I worked for 2 bosses. Okay, so the one boss for 5 years, and he was a very big farmer, chicken farmer, one of the biggest in the country. And I really learned so much from him as an entrepreneur, and I really worked very closely with him. And sadly, he passed away from COVID. It's yeah, it's so sad because he is just he built up his whole business from nothing. He was grew up very poor, and I really learned so much from the character of an entrepreneur and how he would approach fear and big projects. And then from there, I went to work for a well-known businessman, Butrowski, who was actually the director of The Gods Must Be Crazy. And once again, I got to work very closely with them and all the directors in the company, and I really learned so much. But then when my second daughter was born in 2015, I said, this is it. I am firing my boss. I am done with bosses. I've learned what I had to learn. And then actually life started to get interesting. So okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. And
so it wasn't as easy as you thought it would be, this entrepreneurial thing.
Yes, it wasn't as easy. And also, I fell back a lot on what I learned from growing up with, first of all, my parents, who's also great entrepreneurs, and then these 2 amazing bosses that I had in my life. And only after, having my own business, I understood so much more why they did certain things. And I think a lot of the time when you are an employee, you don't always understand. But when you have your own business, it really makes so much more sense. But
Right.
anyhow, I just love the online space. So from 2015, I submerged myself in it. I started doing social media for other businesses, and that is how I sort of started. But interestingly enough, Kevin, is I could not find um, good information on social media in South Africa. Like there was
Wow.
nothing. You would
Okay.
get, I did a course and they would teach you marketing stuff. Like I don't know, I didn't care about that. I wanted to know, how do I put my pixel on the website? How do I add someone, how do I run a conversion campaign on Facebook? And none of that was taught by any courses in South Africa. So I
Interesting.
had to go overseas, not go overseas. I mean, like
Do courses
with the
overseas.
internet, yes, get courses overseas. And I had to spend a lot of money just to gain that amazing knowledge of really how this works. And
Right.
yeah, I'm so glad I did that. I think that was the biggest asset for me, is gaining that knowledge of really
Right.
how this works. And yeah, now I teach other business owners
Right.
to, yes.
Magriet, now you're a guru in marketing, and I'm interested in why you say there was nothing in South Africa. Is there a difference for you on how we should be presenting material in South Africa compared to what the Americans say do, or the guys in the UK? Why would you want a social media course for South Africans?
Um, the thing is, we don't understand what is happening in the marketing landscape. However, we in South Africa, we are actually very lucky because we are a little bit behind. So we actually can predict the future because we
Right.
look at what's happening, especially in America, and we can see, okay, this is the way everything is going. And the interesting thing about that is why I started doing webinars already in 2017. And what was so funny, and this was absolutely before lockdown, no one knew what I was doing. And people would say we should go out for a coffee to discuss some ideas. And I'm like, no, you can meet me on Zoom. And they like, what is
What is
Zoom?
Zoom?
And I would meet people in Bloemfontein. They knew, don't ask me for coffee, because if it's about business, I'm going to see you on Zoom.
Right.
And this is also what prepared me for when 2020 came, because all of these things I've been doing, no one just understood it. But when 2020 came, everyone was like, okay,
All right.
you
Now we
know,
need Magriet. Right.
yeah, absolutely.
Wow. So you were ahead of the curve. That's unbelievable.
But only because I know that, look at what is going on in America, and then you can predict the future. It's as
Right.
easy as that. And we can
Right.
still do that.
Yes. Magriet, do you think there's a difference in how we consume social media compared to the Americans? Do you think that how we view and consume it and communicate on social media, is it different from what the Americans do?
I think that we are still very sort of afraid of what other people are going to say. And I get a lot of people saying, but I'm not like that person, or I'm not that social media kind of person. And what I try to tell people is that this is a platform for every single person to reach more people, to share your message, and to make a bigger impact. And
Right.
you know what? I can reach a certain amount of people in the world, but I cannot reach who you can reach. So it's
Yes.
actually your responsibility to go out there and share your knowledge. And how I explain it to people is, you know what? There are actually people out there today who has got a problem, and they don't have a solution to that problem. But it could be that you have the solution, but because you feel that you don't want to go on social media, they cannot find you and they cannot find a solution. So actually, it's hurting them because you're too scared to go on
Right.
social media. So
Right.
I think it's just about changing the way we view social media to, this is a place for you. You've got some amazing product or service, And what we ultimately do is we want to help other people. We want to inspire other people. Our products and services are there to solve problems. And that is the reason for us to be on social media.
Right. So part of what you obviously do is show South Africans how to come out of their shell and talk on live shows and do videos. That's the kind of thing we're going to have to get used to. It's just somehow South Africans are a bit more reserved. Is that right?
Yes, but you know what? I have got amazing case studies within my study group, my business school, where once people know that, once the penny drop, it's as if they go like, just go out
Wow.
there, and they would come back to me and say, "Oh wow, you helped me so much." And I'm like, you know what? It's you that got the product. It's you that got this
Right.
amazing thing or this talent. All I did was showed you that the world needs you and the world needs to hear about that. And then
Right.
suddenly their business explode and they like think it was me, but I didn't do the work. I didn't put in the
Yep.
hard work to create that product, to create that service. That is you. I just need to tell you that you can be on social media because that will help other people.
Right. Magriet, now last year was a very defining time in your life. As you said, you were ahead of the curve, and then there were a couple of breakthrough moments in that year. Tell us about how you just accelerated into the media in that time when COVID started.
Yes, so interestingly enough, everything worked together 2020 because I have been doing a lot of webinars where I talk about my product online. And when we got close to, I had this idea long ago because I've been working with some of the influencers, comedians, especially a comedian, and I've told them before, look, if you ever want to try to do something online, I will be able to help you. But that time, no one could think about an online show. And then, it was Kaka and Ka. It was just after Stellenbosch Woordfees, and shows were cancelled left and right. Kaka and Ka shows were cancelled. And they WhatsApp me. They're like, remember you said something about doing some online thing? And it was amazing. So we did the first, according to my knowledge, the first paid online show in South Africa. And that just, when all the other people, they were doing free shows, they didn't know what to do. So our first online show was already in March before lockdown hit. And so we were just ready. And it was amazing how people responded to that, how they felt, it was just amazing, this whole online thing. And then obviously it exploded. So many, I did over 100 online shows in that hard lockdown. So that was amazing.
Amazing. And obviously that created a lot of traction for you in the media. How did that affect your sales on the actual online training product that you've got?
I think an important thing about that is just it's creating that authority, and that's also what I teach in my course, is how can I create authority in my industry. But having authority is not necessarily going to give you the sale. So you need to understand the whole buyer's journey and the process, what people need to actually commit to making a sale. So and that is exactly what I teach in online marketing. And the amazing thing about this is, you can see someone on TV, you can see someone on radio, and they don't have anywhere to click to say, I want to go there now. Whereas when you are online, you can click, you can go through the website, you can see, you can watch. So it's so much more effective actually so it's amazing to be out there and create authority, and people see you and it creates trust. Okay. So it's authority and trust, but it doesn't necessarily translate into sales. If you want sales, you need to understand the online process of how to get sales.
Yeah. And so to me, that's also, some of the failures in marketing traditionally. You can spend a lot of money on marketing, articles, nice pictures, newspaper clippings, whatever you want to do. But, if that doesn't turn into sales, sometimes it's just a waste of money. And a lot of businesses spend money on marketing, but never see results.
Yes, I think that's the problem when with people when they spend money on marketing is they don't have their system in place. I've worked with a very big company that spends spent millions and millions on sponsorships, on TV ads, but they did not translate that into like, this is my audience of people, and I am going to, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, still get business from that. Because you know what it's like. People see you on TV and it's gone. If you don't have an online connection with them, it's gone. It's once off and it's gone. It's sort of like throwing water in a bucket with holes. So what I teach people is, first get your online system without the holes, so that whatever else you do, it must integrate with your social media strategy. So I am not against any of these, but I say, if that does not translate to that, you're going to waste that money, because you can get so much more miles for your money if you just know how to put it in this online system, so that they see you on TV, and then the next day maybe see you on social media, on an email or whatever, so that system has to be in place. Otherwise you spend all this money and it's like once off, gone.
Right. So it's this idea of an integrated approach, where you have the ecosystem of the social media, your website, everything connected to each other and speaking to each other. Is that what you're saying?
That's absolutely. And this is also the other side of the coin, is people go to social media and they think, oh, it's going to work wonders for me. But you know what? You need to have that integrated system, because yes, I do live, I do online talks, but I also do live talks whenever I can. This is actually how I started. And all of that forms part of my strategy. But when I do perform live, that translates back to my online. So people will also see on my website where I say, you might have seen me at this and this event, but those people still see my content. So they're not lost. That was 2-3 years ago.
Right. So Magriet, in your on your website, what are the products that you offer? What are the things that people can find on your website? Let's just get that on the screen as well while you're talking.
So basically, my flagship product is my social media business school. And in that, I teach people how to use Facebook and Instagram so that you can reach more people and make more sales. And it starts very basic. I go into Instagram and into Facebook. And so I have got the 3 pillars that I would say. It's clarity, understanding first. So we go into understanding who you are, who your product is, and what problems you solve. And then once we know that, because that's a big problem with social media, people don't understand that if you are not clear on these things, we consume over 5,000 ads a day. People are just going to scroll past your stuff. So that clarity model is extremely important before you spend any money on any marketing. And then we go into, how do I create content that my people will love, that, because you need that know, like, and trust factor. People need to see you consistently for them to see, okay, I get it. I now get what this is. And I now understand that I've got a need for this. And interesting enough, Kevin, I see that people are about 6 months in my system, sometimes before they buy, and sometimes a year. Because it's all about understanding that buyer's journey, of understanding that if you don't get a like on your post today, it is not because people don't like it. It is because they are still figuring out. They need to become aware that they've got a problem. Because sometimes we are selling a solution to people who don't even know they've got a problem. So I would teach you to create content to educate them about their problem. And this is what I see a lot in my webinars. People would say, oh my goodness, you opened up the whole world for me. I didn't even know that I had this problem. And I often compare it to when smartphones came in. We didn't know we had a problem. We just said, oh, I don't want this phone. I just want my old Nokia. We didn't realize we had a problem. And they had to do so much education to show us that we actually do have a problem. Because if you don't have a smartphone now, you've got a problem. But back then, we didn't realize it. And a lot of the times, we want to put our products in the market, but the people don't even know they've got a problem. So understanding, where are they in the buyer's journey, and what content do I need to create for them to educate them that they actually have a problem, So then they come to a point where they're problem aware, but then they need to become solution aware, and that is where you come in. So you want to be the solution. So it doesn't help you make them problem aware and then they choose another solution. And that is where things like having authority and being out there really helps, because you stay top of mind. Because remember, if I have a product now and you don't buy it, doesn't mean you don't need it or don't want it. Maybe you're just very busy at the moment. Maybe you in the middle of a move. Maybe something happened. But in 6 months from now, you are so ready to buy. But because
Right.
I thought, okay, no one was interested, I stopped. I went off social media. I wasn't consistent. Now you couldn't remember who was that girl again. So now you go and search, I need a social media course for my business. And then you buy my competitions course,
Yep.
and that is what a lot of people don't get.
Right.
So and then the last part of my course is about the conversion. Is now taking those people that you got from TV or social media or wherever your live events, and converting that into sales, understanding how does this amazing online world works, how does the tools work that Facebook so freely gives us, and that's amazing, and we see amazing results.
Right. Okay, tell me about you was talking about finding a solution to a problem, and that's what you teach on your course. That every person has something to offer, and I like that, because on Take a Seat TV, on our academy, we speak about purpose and how important purpose is, and how to find your purpose in life. And I believe solving a problem is one thing, but you have to solve a problem that you're able to solve, and that's really where your purpose is. So when you're working with students in your course, do you see that people aspire to something that's unique to their individual passions and talents, or is it sometimes a very broad concept for people? What type of solutions they must solve?
Well, I think it's a very broad kind of thing, because in every kind of business, there is some place for you to fit in to absolutely find that passion. Like, I wouldn't say being a social media coach was the only thing available for me, but within this, I could choose two ways. I could decide to only work with clients and be more behind the scenes and do more the campaigns, or I could decide to be the one that educates and teach others. So I think within whatever it is that you do, there is something that you will really love. So it's a lot of people say they have to find their passion, but I feel your passion is right there where you are. You just need to start doing and start to figuring out what side of this part, what part of this is really inspiring to me, because I believe in every single industry. And then there's a reason for you that you are where you are. And what is that reason? Why are you there? I always wanted to, I was very frustrated at a stage in my life, because I was working for bosses and I felt, oh my goodness, but they are building their life and I'm helping them building this amazing dream of theirs, but I'm not working on my own dream. I'm not working on my kids, like being there for
Future.
my kids.
Yeah.
And on their future. I'm not building something for myself. And that caused a lot of frustration. And then I had to ask myself the very difficult question: why are you where you are? Okay. So why haven't you made the move yet? And
Okay.
that was a question I had to answer. I had to realize I am exactly where I choose to be. This is according to my choices that I'm here.
Right.
So there's
Right.
nothing wrong with my boss. There's nothing wrong me doing everything for them and not getting paid what I feel I should get paid, because I would have never felt that satisfaction, because that was not what I was supposed to do. And
Got it.
what I did is I didn't just leave my job. I started researching. I started doing extra courses and I started getting an income before I quit my job.
Okay. So you work from a sound base to the next base.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Very,
Yeah,
very good.
because it can be so we think the grass is greener on the other side, and then you get there and like, oops, I want to go back. So I
Right.
think it's so important to do your homework and to not spend money before you know how you're going to get that money back, because a lot of people spend a lot of money on their dream and wanting to do this business, and it's, oops, I have to pay back that money and start to make money, and that creates so much stress.
Right.
So yeah.
Got it. Okay, tell me about the motivation. Now, I think you've alluded to the motivation on why you started as an entrepreneur. But if you think back now, do you think the motivation today to carry on is much different from the reason you started?
No, actually not. Okay, so obviously, I'm seeing the results and really seeing the difference I do make in people's lives. Really is encouraging. Every time when someone says, wow, you inspired me, or this really helped me, that really, really pushes me forward because it makes me feel that sense of purpose. And
Right.
I've got a beautiful story that I'll tell you later of one of my students. But I have to tell you, sometimes life do get tough, and having your own business is difficult. There is no
Right.
safety net. And
Right.
I would sit literally and think, okay, what did it feel like again to work for a boss? And then it feels like, but it's so safe, I get my monthly salary, but I did not have the freedom to really do what I wanted to do. And then I would get out of that moment of discouragement. So I would still use that as my stick, like, that is my stick to keep me
Right.
going. So I also feel if you haven't experienced failure and bad, like unhappiness, you will never know where is success or happiness. And that's really what helps me a lot, is because I have experienced that hardship, and it was very difficult for me leaving my 2-month-old baby at home to go back to work, and
Yep.
not sleeping at night, coming back at 5 o'clock, this, having that skuldgevoelens, I would say,
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was very, very difficult for me. And
Okay.
thinking back about that, it's sort of the stick that pushes me forward. Yeah.
Right. So you spoke about meaning and purpose, so which are key words for me, Magriet. Do you think you now have meaning and purpose more than any time in your life before?
I think that oh, it's a difficult question because I think that I've always had meaning and purpose, even in my,
Right.
when I was employed.
Right.
Um, I just did not understand certain things. Like, I was unhappy at a stage because I did not understand how stuff works, and this is because of the choices I make. So I think I make better choices so
Okay.
that I have better problems to deal with.
Right.
So it's not as if I did not have meaning and purpose. I've always had that. But I
Okay.
think now I'm more conscious and responsible for the choices I make. For instance, if a client approaches me with a job and I see it's a very difficult client, I would ask myself, do I want this problem in my life or not? Because I do not want to take on the client. And then tomorrow, when he's unhappy about something, I'm sad. It influences me. It influences my family life and everything. So I have to be very responsible with the choices I make so that the problems I have don't make me unhappy.
All right. Got it. Magriet, I'm going to ask you, can we go to a quick ad break, and then I'm coming back and I want to talk about your journey the last year, your major achievements of the
Okay.
last year. We'll be back just now.
Yes. Perfect.
Want to accelerate your life? Start by finding your purpose. Purpose has become somewhat of a cliche, but in recent years, research has shown that purpose is a tool that can be used to enjoy the abundant life. Yes, you too can become wealthy and live a meaningful life. We have developed an action-packed 6 weeks online course that takes you through 6 critical steps to start taking massive action towards your abundant life. Go to www.takeaseat.tv and click on Academy. Get ready to accelerate. Okay, Magriet, so the last year obviously has been amazing for you. As I said, you were in the media. So there was sudden activity around you. People noticed you. So what happened? What were the major achievements that you can point to?
So I think my major achievements was the online shows. That was amazing because it really changed so many people's lives. It got some, it just was amazing. But for me, working with my students and seeing how they grow and seeing how I can help them, get to a point where they can go on social media with confidence and share their message and make a difference like that. To me, that is absolutely, the best for me. So I do work with a lot of celebrities, which is amazing. But I think my true passion in life is helping my students succeed.
Love that. Love that. So, Magriet, as an entrepreneur, how do you make sure that you keep growing? Because you've done a lot of
Mm,
courses and self
mm,
development, but obviously you have
mm.
to stay on top of things. What do you
Yes.
do on a daily basis or a monthly basis to stay on top of it?
I think that's a brilliant question, Kevin. And I think that is something that people should understand. You have to do so much work. You have to get a mentor. You have to click in with people who can pull you up. And that is why online courses like that, what you give as well, is so amazing. That is actually what I do. Is I go to my mentors. I see people who are more successful than what I am, because we get so caught up in our little problem and it becomes so big. But the moment you realize, but you know what, there's people that are more successful, they've been through this, and they are so willing to help you and give you advice to just push you forward. An interesting thing is with working with a lot of people like yourself, I can see all the books in the background. I always notice this. Successful people has got a lot of books around them. So yes,
Absolutely.
reading books on topics. So I would read books on all kinds of topics,
Right.
entrepreneurship, but also, general things. Because for me, I want a holistic success. I would say I want to be happily married, which I am. I want to have happy kids. And actually, I've got 3 step kids as well. So I had to do a
Wow.
lot of work to really make that work, because I don't want to be that person that complains because of these issues. That's not
Right.
even because of me. So really mentorship, that's to
That's
me
key.
very
Love that.
absolutely key.
Yeah. Magriet, and
Yes.
we also know that people don't, as you said, people are quite willing to be mentors for entrepreneurs, but
Yes.
it's somehow entrepreneurs don't want to ask those questions. They don't want to phone somebody and ask a question. Why do you think
Mm.
young entrepreneurs don't do that? What is that resistance that you think they have?
Oh my goodness. And it's so true what you're saying, because, but I've always believed one of the quotes that's always stuck with me is, um, when the student is ready, the teacher is there. And it's like
Absolutely.
that in life, in all spheres of life. I think people enjoy having problems because that gives meaning to their life. So you have to ask yourself, it's also about, if you ask better questions in your life, don't ask, why am I in this situation? Because you're not going to get the answer. But how can I get out of this? Is there
Yes.
someone maybe that can help me? So if you
Yep.
start asking better questions about your life, you might just find amazing people out there so willing to
Yes.
help you.
And you don't have to make the same mistakes. That's always the key to me. Why make the same mistakes? There are people out there
Mm,
that have done this before. Very key.
absolutely.
So, in your walk with mentors and also your own life, what would you say are the 5 skills needed to be an entrepreneur?
Um,
If you can
so
mention 3, it would be good
yes.
as well.
Okay. No. So definitely one that I learned from Kobe Furi from Morrison at the egg farm is resilience. I
Okay.
remember so well, we were sitting and it was something about the alarms didn't go off. And on his farm, he's got a lot of chickens, and the alarms didn't go off that have to correlate the air and all that. And so many chickens died. And it was such a big blow. And I felt so bad for them. And the next day I got in the office and I'm like, how are you? And he's like, what? And that shook me. That moment was like this moment of, oh my goodness, he has already put it behind him. I literally even couldn't sleep. I was so stressed about what
Wow.
happened. So definitely resilience.
Okay.
Another thing that I also learned from Kobe was courage. Like, he wouldn't think a lot about, he would make a decision and act on it. And you know how difficult that is to make a decision, because it's easy to sit and see all the pros and the cons. This is the best decision. But acting on that decision and not turning back, that's
Mm.
very difficult. So having that courage, And then a strong mind is extremely important. Willingness to learn, definitely. So that would be my top tips
I like that.
for
I like.
entrepreneurs.
Nothing now
And
you
yeah,
yeah.
maybe also not to take life so seriously. Sometimes
Yeah.
just, you're going to fail. Oh, get comfortable with
Get
failure.
comfortable with failure. Absolutely. Magriet, now earlier on you spoke about family. So I want to know how you keep the balance between your work life and your family life. What techniques can you share with us that you do on a daily basis to keep that balance?
Oh my goodness. So yes, it is obviously always challenging, but there, once again, I would go to people. I've got an amazing, amazing student in my group. She's an occupational therapist, and she talks a lot about play. And if I only spend 10 minutes, and if I look them in the eye, and if I play with them, but I mean, it is hard. We get so caught up in our lives, but I'm in a very lucky position because I had my three stepkids, and they are all grown up now, and now I've got my other two in the home still, so it's very easy for me to see how quickly time passes and how some things that we think is so big isn't. So I'm actually very lucky to sort of have a second chance and do it easier. So, but yeah, it is a challenge.
Okay.
But then once again, talk to people that know. I mean, I'm so willing to talk to anyone. If it's, a play therapist, whoever, I am so willing to learn from people.
Right. And then part of being an entrepreneur is also handling the stress and frustration of maybe failures or things that don't go your way. How have you
Mm.
been coping? How do you cope with those kinds of things in business?
I think in my case, once again, I've got an amazing husband that really knows me very well. He knows my he knows my mental weaknesses, and he really can help me. So yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able to do anything if it wasn't for his support, and family support and friends. And um we don't you know we didn't achieve it alone. Like, there are people around you that support you, even the teachers that's so amazing with the kids at school. So all of that, to me, contribute to being able to doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay, what would you describe as one of the most toughest things that you had to go through as an entrepreneur?
um
Or was it
um
was it was it that month that you had to pay the salaries with your credit card? Because I
yeah,
believe I, I
yeah.
I believe you're not an entrepreneur if you haven't paid salaries with your credit card yet.
Yeah, that's well, I sold my car.
Okay, that's very normal for an
Yeah.
entrepreneur.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I sold my car. So I was like this, and people knew me already as this online person, and I sold my car. So here I was like, woohoo, I've got my own business, but I don't have a car.
Who needs a car if you have an online business?
Absolutely. Yeah, but I've got a car now again. Thank
Okay,
goodness.
wonderful, wonderful. So, Magriet, what is what are the things in your business that take you out of your comfort zone? Still to this day.
Oh my goodness, everything. I think the online world is extremely challenging, and there's a lot of technical things. So obviously, with all the online shows, especially when we started, no one really has the answers. We don't have the answers, and it's sort of, if you view it like that, even with social media, online business, we don't have the answers. Like, no one really knows. Not even Zuckerberg has got the answers on what Facebook can and can't and will become and not become. So it's really just being comfortable with being uncomfortable every single time. And I really, whenever someone asks me to do a broadcast for them, or a live stream or whatever, they always have different. They want to do this or they want to do that, and no one
Very
program
dynamic.
can do all of that. So I
Right.
have to really go and research and see. And this is also what I did with when we started the online shows, because it was the webinar, but I used to do it free. And then I had to build a whole system where it's a webinar, payment, email, all of that. So it's figuring out all these things and understanding that there isn't answers for everything. You have to sort of see what works for other people and implement that.
Right.
This is so encouraging. Oh, shame. Thanks, Haley.
Right. So, Magriet, in terms of especially these events, I would just be so stressed managing these events. But what is your greatest fear in doing what you do at the moment?
So always with the event, you have got the nothing is certain, like stuff can happen, and we've had that happen, that the internet cuts off,
Oh
or
my
there's
goodness.
some unexpected thing that happens. I once had an event where it was just a glitch with YouTube, and in the beginning people completely freaked out, but then once they saw, okay, it's fine, there is going to be glitches here and there, it's okay, then so to me it's also educating people that if we are struggling with sound in the beginning, it's fine, it's going to be sorted out just now, so just so definitely every single time before I do, because you do spend a lot of money, for instance, to get a whole lot of people on a live webinar, and if the system crashes, you basically that's part that you can't control. So we
Right.
always try to see all the variables. The more variables there is, the more things can go wrong. So we try to eliminate all of those. We try to make sure that everything that we can do, but you can't say ever that you've got 100% successful online stream. It can be between 60 and 80, then you're happy, but you will never have like 100% success. So it's
Right.
always that variable, like I don't
Yeah.
want the 40%. you
Absolutely.
know
But it's basically managing the risk and making sure that you do control
yes,
what you can control.
yes,
Look,
yes.
I can just imagine what a nightmare it is if the internet goes down on a live show. I could just imagine how you run around with that. But yeah, I think we're in a world where there's a lot of stability in internet nowadays. So I think I think it's a bit easier. Tell me, Magriet, in terms of international business, do you see that as a trend for you going forward, that you attract more and more international clients?
Yes, definitely. So I am in an international coaching group, and I do get a lot of, I do work with internationals as well, which is amazing. But I also want to work with South Africans. But yeah, no, definitely. I am actually, my next webinar will be in the USA. So that's
Oh,
definitely
nice.
part of, and also because I am in those coaching groups as well. So that's definitely, because what I do is for anyone on the planet, which is
Right,
amazing.
absolutely. Yeah, it'll work for
Yes.
anyone. Absolutely.
Yes.
Magriet, can you remember the day you made your first sale on your online business?
Oh my goodness. Yes, I can. My very first online course, and it was amazing. It
Right.
was a very big struggle to get there. So I have to tell you, with South Africa, we do have some limitations. That's why we had to open a company in the USA so that our payment portal works better. There are some limitations, friction with
Yeah.
the payment, and you don't want that. So there are a few limitations, but the thing is, there's people that's figured it out. Just ask and we'll tell you what works
Right.
better.
Right. Magriet, now I'm interested. I know you grew up on a farm. So your dad, he's a farmer. What does he
Yes.
think his daughter's doing? If
I
you're
would
in the
love
free,
to.
if you're in the Free State and your dad must be, I must be in his 60s or 70s. What does dad
Oh my
think you're
goodness.
busy with?
Yeah, no, I have no idea. I wish I knew. Yeah, but he's very supportive. He just doesn't understand it because, I don't have an office. I don't have, like that he can see. But I think nowadays he's starting to get it. He's starting to get it. So, but yeah, it took him very long to figure out.
I think it's so inspiring for a lot of South Africans that grow up in farming areas. So what can happen with someone's life? You come from the Free State and you're now on a worldwide platform. But I think it's also very new for a lot of those communities to understand what online is. Tell me about the farming community. Do you think there's scope for the farming community to get involved in online media and social media?
Yeah, and I think they are doing great because They, social media is not a new thing. It's actually as old as the mountains, because it's literally just giving a message from one person to the other. So in the very olden days, we had a horse with a letter go. So it took 2 weeks to get a message from one person to the next, and then the message back. And then we had email, and now we've got social media, which is instantly. So it's not a new thing. That is how people connect. And that is, people want to be part of a community. And that's why Facebook is so beautiful, because they create that. They want to connect people. And they, whereas if you were on the farm and you didn't really, you had an interest in something that wasn't there, you could connect with people in New Zealand. So I think the farming communities are actually very, farming people are very with it. They actually, because also a lot of the times they have to be online, and sometimes they are the people that would, start. I know my sister on the farm, she's been buying online very long ago, directly from Instagram, because she's on the farm and because she doesn't have the luxury of quickly going into a mall. She was sort of forced to go that route and connect with people all over the world. So no, definitely, I think they are very well ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've come to the end of our interview. I want to end off with two fun questions. The first one is, if you could choose one dead person that you could spend some time with at the end of your life, who would that be?
Oh my goodness, it's So the first person that actually comes up is my ex-boss, Quibby, because I just learned so much from him, and that would be amazing just to have another conversation with him.
Right. Wonderful. And then the last question: if you have to write a book about your life, what would be the title of that book?
So how I fired my boss and hired myself.
Okay, I love that. Okay, how I got out of my normal job and got into entrepreneurship. Love that. Magriet, thank you so much for the time this morning. I know it's a busy time for you. It was lovely speaking to you. I'm so inspired with what you do. I'm going to have a look at your course as well. I think we've had one person actually say that they're going to sign up with your course. Janine there has told us she's going to sign up to your course. So well done with what you've achieved the last year. We want to check in with you every couple of months if you don't mind. But I just want to congratulate you with what you've achieved over the last year. And I hope that you're going to achieve much more over the next year.
Thank you so much, Kevin. It was really an honor for me to share my experience with you guys.
Great. Have a good morning, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.